Hello, this is Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Bregman from the Jewish Executive Learning Network. In this video, this short and sweet, I'd like to answer a question I received again yesterday from a subscriber to this YouTube channel, and it's a common question that I regularly receive, and that is, how do I go about choosing and selecting a rabbi for myself? There's a lot of them out there. You could Google them, or in my community, or on YouTube. How do I find someone who I consider to be my rabbi? Is there an obligation to do so? How does this all work? So there's a lot of Torah on this topic. In 2011, I gave 2 live lectures, 7 months apart, with about 120 combined sources from the Talmud, the Torah, the Midrash, Kabbalah, dealing with this stuff. And I didn't even get to a third of my material. So there's a lot to say. It doesn't all lend itself to a short and sweet video, but I'll give you a couple quick ideas. Number one, how do we know there's a concept that you should have a rabbi for yourself? Well, there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, in Ethics of the Fathers, that says Aseh lecha rav. Aseh lecha rav means you should make for yourself a rabbi. Choose for yourself a rabbi, a spiritual guide and Torah mentor for you. Now, it's important to note the words say Aseh lecha rav, which means make for yourself a rabbi. In other words, no rabbi, no matter how authentic he is and what a big Talmud Chacham, which means a Torah scholar, he may be, he can come and say, I just want you to know, David, Brian, Joseph, from now on, I am your rabbi. Nobody can come and do that for you. It says, Aseh lecha rav, make for yourself a rabbi. You yourself have to decide under whose spiritual authority and purview and guidance you want to place yourself. So that's one concept over there. That's number one. Number two, I would tell you that just because someone may be the biggest authentic Torah scholar that you could find doesn't mean that he has time for you. There has to be some kind of synergy, some kind of fit. The person has to make himself accessible to you. Now, sure, you could go read the writings of a great rabbi from hundreds of years ago, a great sage like the Vilna Gaon, who lived from the 1720s to 1797. If you're able to access those writings, and you're able to read teeny tiny Hebrew and nothing's much translated unless someone like me says it in a video, what he said. But you ultimately want to have somebody who's alive and you're able to speak to in real life today that you can speak to and learn from as well. So the biggest Torah scholar you could find may not be accessible to you. He might not know you exist. Even if you reach out, he might have hundreds or thousands of other people clamoring for his attention. So maybe that person wouldn't be the right rabbi for you. Also, being down to earth and accessible to you is super important in finding a rabbi. In other words, you might find someone or know of someone who's famous or well-known or very learned, but if that person is up there in their knowledge, but that person doesn't feel accessible to you in terms of their style, the feel, how they relate to you, when you meet them, submit questions to them, or they're just too busy, or they feel more aloof, that person's not for you. I speak about this concept in Short and Sweet on the Parsha, my Torah work, my Torah commentary. I speak about this actually for those of you who own a copy or should get a copy. On page 68, I speak about this in the context of Jacob, of Yaakov, and the famous story with the ladder and his dream. The verse says over there something interesting. It says, Sulam mutzav arza, that the ladder, the sulam, was mutzav arza, was implanted on the ground, and its top was magia shemaima. That's what it says about the ladder. And there were angels going from the ladder up and down. The whole thing, look it up in the Chumash in the book of Genesis, Bereshis. One of the commentaries, one of the Mefarshim explains that this ladder is symbolic of the trait you should find for yourself in your ideal rabbi that you pick for yourself. Why? Because just as a ladder, for example, can help you go from a lower place to a higher place, well, number one, a Torah scholar, your rabbi, can help you ascend to great heights in ruchnius, spirituality, wisdom, happiness in life, clarity, and connection to God, connection to Hashem. But in addition to that, how do we know from here what are the qualities you look for? So if the ladder represents a rabbi, it says sulam is mutzav arza. Mutzav arza means it's implanted on the ground. That means like it alludes to the idea that the person should be down to earth, approachable, not too scary, doesn't seem too aloof. Someone who's mutzav arza is implanted on the earth, a real person you can relate to in some measure. But if that's all the person is, that's not enough, because it says the sulam was mutzav arza, but roishay megia shemaima, the top of the ladder was megia shemaima, was touching the shemayim, touching the heaven. Literally, roishay means his head, his head is megia shemaima. His head, its head, like the top of the ladder, was swimming up there in heaven. In other words, it's great if a person's down to earth, but if they're just down to earth because they really don't have anything higher to offer, that's not good. So you want a person whose head is swimming up there in heavenly, high, lofty things and has access to that information, but the person is still approachable down to earth for a regular person to relate to. I'll share with you two other quick ideas because there's a lot more to talk about. Somebody told me recently, they said, hey, I like it when you drop Hebrew and Aramaic and Talmudic sources in some of these videos. Even because you a lot of times say what the content is, but you don't say the source. I'll give you two more on this topic. I quoted the Mishnah from Pirkei Avos before. The Talmud says in Tractate Bava Kama on 92b, it says that the wine, it's sort of like a parable a little bit. It says that the wine belongs to the owner, but thanks are given to the waiter. You go to a restaurant, you want a glass of wine. So the Talmud says, well, the wine belongs to the owner of the place, but thanks are given to the waiter, the person who brings you the bottle of wine. You say, thank you. But it's not really his, it belongs to the owner. So Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, in his famous commentary called Sichos Musar, explains that this is what it's like when you have a rabbi and the respect you show a Torah scholar. The wine, meaning the Torah wisdom, belongs to the owner, that's Hashem, but the thanks has to be given to the waiter, the rabbi, the Rav, the Torah scholar, your Rebbe, who comes and brings it to you and makes it accessible. And I want you to know, if you do merit to have a real connection with a one-on-one rabbi who can relate to you and spend time with you and make room in his heart and for you and time and schedule, it's a big blessing. In the Talmud, Rebbe Tarfon says to Rebbe Akiva in Tractate Kedushin, on 66b in that page in the Talmud, he says to him, Akiva, these are two of the great rabbis of the Talmud. Rebbe Tarfon saying to Rebbe Akiva, whoever separates from you, Rebbe Akiva, it's like that person has separated from life itself. Because if you merit to have a close connection with an authentic Torah scholar, a real rabbi, one who has these kind of things really in his head and in his heart, and he's living by it, you separate from a person like that, it's like you're separating from life itself. Anyway, I hope that begins to give you a few ideas to think about in some of the criteria on how to choose or select for yourself a rabbi. So much more to say. I've way gone over what I wanted to say for a short and sweet clip, but what are you going to do? It's my video and I'll cry if I want to. I'll just keep going. But anyway, let's wrap it up. This is Shlomo Zalman Bregman, Rabbi Bregman from the Jewish Executive Learning Network. If you have a question, please submit it to me, director@jeln.org. We'll see you the next time. Bye.